dance to show the world. I dance to show the good. I dance to feel you near. I dance to hold you dear. I dance to be alive. I dance to honor night. On days the sadness wins, on nights that seem too cold, I know just what to do when it's you I wanna hold. I start to feel the beat, let it move into my soul, then I no longer feel alone. The rhythm makes me whole, yes. We may not be apart, but you dance in my heart, and all the joy you bring still leads my heart to sing, yes. Your memory is strong, it's like a favorite song, and as I spin and sing, I feel the joy you bring, yes.
Dance, 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 oh dance, 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 oh dance.
I dance because we did, I dance because we could, I dance to show the world, I dance to show the good, I dance to feel you near, I dance to hold you dear, I dance to be the light, I dance to honor night.
Dance, dance, oh dance, yeah dance.
I dance to honor night.
Dance, dance, oh dance, dance, oh dance.
On days that sadness wins, on nights that seem too cold, I know just what to do when it's you I wanna hold. I start to feel the beat, let it move into my soul, then I no longer feel alone. The rhythm makes me whole, yes. We may not be apart, but you dance in my heart, and all the joy you bring still leaves my heart to sing, yes. Your memory is strong, it's like my favorite song, and as I spin and sing, I feel the joy you bring, yes.
Dance, oh dance, yeah dance, oh dance, dance, oh dance, dance, oh dance.
I dance because we did, I dance because we could, I dance to show the world, I dance to show the good, I dance to feel you near, I dance to hold you dear, I dance to be the light, I dance to honor nights, so I don't feel the memories, no I don't sit and cry, just because the time had come for us to say goodbye. Instead I start to move across the dance floor, it's so wild, as soon my body starts to feel the love I have inside for you. The love I have inside for you. The love I have inside for you. For you, for you, for you. For you, for you. The love I have inside. I dance because we did. I dance because we could.
Time is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
It's that time of week again, this gay week with Scott Jacobsen from the Good Man Project. We are here. I'm the gay. He's the weak. We're going to see what happened for LGBTQ people across the globe.
Now it's showtime.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my sugar. Hello, my ragtime gal. If you like the little frog from Bugs Bunny. It is the Karel Show. I am Karel. It's time for This Gay Week with Scott Jacobsen from the Good Man Project and many other publications, Rabble and so forth. He is still currently in Ukraine where they're kind of out of defense missiles, so we're not going to be so flippant this week. If he hears a bomb, I'm going to tell him to take cover, which last week he heard a bomb, and it was in our news the next day. But here he is. It was in the news the next day, by the way. The one that hit right by your place was in the news. And I'm like, well, Scott was live on air with me when this happened. So I wasn't thrilled. I'm not thrilled that you're in the middle of this. I know you're a reporter. I know you're doing your job. I'm still not thrilled. But, you know, it's like, when do you come back? It's like, come on.
Oh, we've had so many air raid alarms today.
That's not good. Yeah, no.
Warning is in the next 72 hours, we're expecting a big attack.
All right. And speak up just a little. You're a little low in the war zone. Maybe you don't want to draw attention to yourself, so you're speaking a little low. But be sure you project, child. Like that wonderful Jeremy Piven comedy.
Like I'm in choir again.
Well, it's that wonderful Jeremy Piven comedy skit where he says, The Rock never had an acting lesson, and he's the richest man in Hollywood. I'm doing a comedy show next to a Dave & Buster's. And then he puts the mic down and he goes, can you hear me in the back? And they go, yeah. And he goes, you know why? Because I had fucking acting lessons. So, it's a funny, it's Jeremy Piven out doing comedy. All right. Before we begin with the other stories, we'll start with one that we reported on first and then became a big, big story. Everyone talking about it. And, of course, we did it here first. And that is Turkey not allowing the vessel with Patti LuPone to dock. I want to say a few things about that. First of all, for those of you saying, well, it was an all-gay cruise. Why do you have cruises based on sexuality? It was not an all-gay cruise. There were many heterosexuals on board. It's just a cruise that was marketed to the LGBTQ community, and they got Patti LuPone to perform. But there were many, many heterosexuals on board. So that's the first thing. And then second of all, I go back to it is time for gays and lesbians to stop, I don't want to say convenience spending, but it is time for us to flex more of our financial dollar, and Turkey is not where you should be spending it. So it is an anti-gay country. Scott and I report here every week about new anti-gay things they do in Turkey. It is not a place for gay people to be spending money right now. I'm glad the ship could not dock there. We don't need to be spending our money there. And, you know, pick a port of a country that actually likes us. But it did become a very, very big story.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Well, it became a very big story. Everyone was like, you know, oh, the gays in Turkey and the gays in Turkey. I was too busy watching Neil the Seal. My whole free time now is just watching Neil the Seal. Tell me you know who Neil the Seal is.
I don't know who Neil the Seal is. You introduced me to that young boy who cooks up a storm.
Carter!
As well. Yeah.
Today... Yes, Carter. Carter's on the cruise ship right now. Carter is on the largest cruise ship in the world right now, and he's taking a cruise with his family, and he is cooking. He was making mocktails yesterday. Well, you got to go find Neil the Seal. He has more followers than most celebrities. He is an elephant seal that every year comes to Tasmania and basically destroys the town. Hates traffic cones. Ooh, can't stand them. Destroys police vehicles. Blocks people's way from going to work, lays in the middle of the highway, and they have to close it down. People love him. The authorities are like, we might have to euthanize him because people are getting too close. There's now a petition, 30,000 plus strong, to not euthanize Neil the Seal. He is very famous. He is all over the internet, and I love him. He's a rebel. He's a rebel. He will not be contained. He's a teenage boy, and he's just thrashing everything in his way. I love Neil the Seal. So I hope nothing bad happens to him. But, you know, that's how life is. The next thing we find out, Neil is dead. But whatever.
And what's the cost? A little traffic and a cone.
Well, fame kills. So, you know. The more famous he's becoming, the closer people are getting. And that's the locals know to just leave him alone, drive around him. If he's destroying your car, just watch. You know,
if you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
But as I was saying, it's always the tourists that have to ruin everything. All right, let's start this whirlwind cavalcade. Pick a story, spin the wheel, let's go.
So pink news. So Senegal's National Assembly has amended the constitution on June 29th to define marriage as a union between a man and a woman. All, underlining, 129 assembly members voted for the change. Same-sex marriage is never legal, while same-sex sexual activity has been prohibited under Penal Code Article 319 since 1965. So they basically just clamped down on prior prejudice.
Yes, and by the way, my listeners and viewers love you. They're going to tell me, we couldn't hear Scott. We couldn't hear Scott. So bump up your audio if you can. So here's the deal. Senegal, Dakar, that whole area, there's a lot of ist in that region. I used to work with Vesta Williams, a now deceased R&B artist, and she went to Senegal to perform. And when she got there, she experienced racism like you wouldn't believe. Now, in America, she was treated like every other black woman. But in Senegal, she was treated like a white person because she was a light-skinned black. And they said her blood was polluted and that she had slave master blood in her and all this other stuff. And she really felt like an outsider in Africa. And yet she's African-American. And so Senegal has never been a bastion of acceptance and love for anybody. I am not surprised that, each week we talk about African nations and what they're doing. In Senegal, they are not instituting a new ban per se. As you said, they are really just tightening up on old hatreds, old bigotries. But again, I guarantee you this is rooted in American money. Africa and African nations have bigger issues than gay. One of their biggest issues is finances, funding, and resources. If evangelical hate organizations from the United States offer them an influx of cash to do a policy a certain way, they're going to take it. Do I know that's what happened here? I can't tell you with 100% assurity that's what happened here, but I will tell you it's happening all over Africa, so why wouldn't it be happening here? So again, I truly believe this is the religious right of the United States influencing policy in an African nation by incentivizing with cash, with an influx of cash of some kind. We'll see. That's what it sounds like to me. These people have no morals or principles. They go where the cash is. They could care less about, really, Senegal, you've got other problems. You've got drought. You've got hunger, starvation. You've got housing crises. You've got more people living in poverty than you do above the poverty line. The last thing you need to worry about is who wants to marry who. So the only reason that they worry about it is because an outside influence comes in and tells them to worry about it. And then they do, and they take the donations from the outside source and go on their merry way.
Another facet is political expedience against a minority population. Another indicator of Christian specifically influence is the use of the phrase between a man and a woman. That is biblical. So
it is not.
That is,
the phrase may be biblical terminology, but nowhere in the Bible does it address same-sex marriage or marriage being between a man and a woman. This is all made up. I heard a great preacher, Scott. I really did. And that's I almost choke on those words. But I did hear a great preacher. And he said things like, America is not a Christian nation, so please stop with all of this. If we were a Christian nation, we wouldn't have started by murdering 20 million Native Americans and then making them relegated to a life of poverty. That's not something a Christian would do. We wouldn't then build a nation through slave labor, people that we beat and killed to simply do our chores for us. That's not a Christian thing to do. In fact, in the Old Testament, God freed the slaves. So I think God made his position on slavery pretty clear in the Old Testament. So this preacher said, again, we would not have founded a nation based on slavery. We certainly wouldn't have gone to war to keep the right to own a person. That's not something a Christian would do. And he said we would not be discriminating against gays, lesbians, bis, trans, or any person. We would not be judging them or thinking of them in any other way than they are children of God and they are perfect the way we are, because that's what the Bible tells us to do. So stop calling yourself a Christian and stop calling it a Christian nation, because A, you don't behave like Christians, and B, neither does your country. And I think that summed it up really well. It is not a Christian thing to do to legislate against gays. That is not Christian. It is not something the Lord would want. It is not something Christ would want. And it's just not something that the Bible demands, because the Bible never mentions homosexuality. The word wasn't even around back in the day. And it didn't even come into play in the Bible until the last century, when it was yet again rewritten by a pope. So it is not they guise it as a religious thing. They guise it as a Christian thing, but it is not. And they are not good Christians. Anyone that thinks hatred and bigotry against gays is biblically prescribed is not a Christian. And this according to a preacher, not just me. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. I am ordained. I guess I am a preacher because I am ordained. So I can perform legal marriages. Hint, hint.
That's fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've done it. I've performed 5 marriages. I have.
I think performed is the right word for how you do it.
Oh, no. No. Trust me. They were entertained. It was... Except at one where I gave away that the bride was pregnant and the family didn't know.
Shotgun wedding. Yeah. The some of the most popular programs amongst humanists in Canada are the humanist chaplains.
How do you know? You haven't been there in months.
Officiants.
Oh, sorry. Are you even still Canadian? Slava Ukraine.
That is an itch people do scratch when they say Slava Ukraini, and then the crowd's supposed to say Ukraini Slava. That's sort of a national patriotic thing to do.
Peace be with you, also with you.
Essentially. Next story.
I grew up Catholic. We're really good at, repeat. The priest will say something and you say something, and then also with you, or blah, blah, blah. It's very much a cult type thing. Very strange. Shall we move on to Indonesia? The news isn't much better there, but we could go there. True story.
So,
two of my best friends, speaking of Indonesia, two of my best friends now, 30 plus years. Well, one of them 25 years and the other 30 because he met him 5 years in. They're a couple, been together, 25 years. His family is from Indonesia. And subsequently, my BFF of 30 years never goes on vacation with his husband or partner. They haven't gotten legally married, but they are married. He never goes sees the other side. And I asked him why. And he said, well, they're Indonesian. And I said, well, what does that have to do with it? You're his partner. And he said, they don't accept his life at all. They just don't talk about it when he's there. And I thought, how sad to go back and visit a family that won't discuss the most important relationship in your life. It's the family that's missing out. It's, then that's always the way,
Well, it's both how sad and how real.
Yeah,
that's life for a lot of.
Yeah,
that is life for a lot of people.
Absolutely, and even in the United States, where we're not Indonesia, but a lot of families here do not accept it. So Indonesia had the same problem that we had all over the world, and that is during Pride Month celebrations this year, there were more attacks than ever. And in Indonesia, there was a surge in abuse against LGBTQ students during Pride Month, which they say highlight the need for government action. They're not going to get any. So, yeah, it's needed. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Harassment and attacks against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered university students in Indonesia escalated during June. Human Rights Watch said today at least 10 public universities have recently adopted discriminatory regulations and are curbing student media coverage and social media discussions around gender and sexual diversity, undermining freedom of expression. I wasn't aware they had that in Indonesia. The administration of these universities should take immediate steps to protect academic freedom and freedom of expression. They won't. The government should review and revise laws and policies that facilitate attacks on gay people. They won't. Indonesian authorities are looking the other way during the upsurge of attacks on gay people. No shit. In response to Pride Month celebrations, the conservative Indonesia Ulema Council declared that sexual deviation should carry criminal penalties heavier than adultery. These are people who cheat on their wives. These are people who are on the down low, who go out and have same-sex sex and just don't tell anybody. These are people who will dress up as plushies and screw each other. Okay? That's who they are. And they're going to say that I'm a sexual deviant. Only when I do it right. So President Prabowo Subianto, you can correct me there, in October 2025 signed a decree. Some guy in a silk outfit signs a piece of paper and suddenly we're all supposed to fall down and wet our pants. But he signed a decree concerning Indonesia's national defense policy, which stated that national security threats also come from non-military factors, including the spread of LGBTQ culture. Because somehow a blowjob is a problem for national defense. It's like, I'm sorry. You gotta laugh. You do. Come on. A threat to national security? They're afraid we're going to throw glitter on the enemy? Well,
the American military is doing the same. There's just a lot of framing that they see it as an ideological attack. They see it which means they see it as somehow part of information warfare.
Right. It has nothing to do with national security and more to do with national public message or messaging of what is accepted and what is not. Let's see. I feel badly about laughing because 94 people were injured in Indonesia over the month of 141 victims from 2024 to 2025, 94 cases documented of violence targeting gay individuals. And that, I would say that's unacceptable, but it's only unacceptable to gay people and their allies. It is completely acceptable to MAGA and others in the rest of the world. So I guess it depends on where you're sitting, whether it's... Pardon?
Actually can help.
Pardon?
I think there's a wing within those that can help, but they rarely do. That being libertarian free speech absolutists who, if they see freedom of expression being curbed here, they don't necessarily have to be pro-LGBT, but they can be pro-free expression, and you happen to have a common interest of impact here. But largely, yeah.
So Albania has rejected all UN recommendations when it comes to LGBTQ people. 120 UN members made recommendations for improving Australia's human rights protections. Recommendations were made for a range of marginalized groups: children, women, people with disabilities, Aboriginal people, as we know in Australia, and the Torres Strait Islander people. However, gay people were the only group for which the government did not accept any of the recommendations. They accepted them for the Aboriginals or for the women and the children. Heaven forbid any of those marginalized groups have gay people in them. Their whole thought process escapes me. There were 8 recommendations: removing the exemptions that allow religious schools to legally discriminate against gays, eliminating legal exemptions that allow discrimination against trans people, delivering public education campaigns to reduce stigma and discrimination against the queer community, introducing a national ban on conversion practices, banning unnecessary surgeries or intersex children, or improving systems to allow trans and gender diverse people to legally change their gender. All 8 of those were rejected by these bigoted morons in, I guess, Albania, is it? It says the Albanese, but then it says Australia. So, and this is in Australia's news. So I'm guessing this is the Albanese of Australia. I'm not clear on that. The Albanese
More
government.
than 120 member states. So this is probably out of the Universal Periodic Review of recommendations.
Oops, hold on.
Now it's showtime.
All right. The Australian Human Rights Commission criticized the government's response, noting on average other countries accept 75%, 73 to 76. So the average of that is 75 because I can do math. 75% of all recommendations, well, it'd be 74.875%, of recommendations received. The government has only agreed to recommendations for reforms that are already in place or underway. They essentially are ignoring over 200 recommendations for new reforms, which would markedly improve the rights, health, and safety of our First Peoples, people with disabilities, women, children, people from diverse cultural backgrounds, gay people, and people in detention. By the way, I know it's LGBTQIA. I just say gay, get over it, I'm old. This means the gap between our international commitments and our domestic practice. I will not say queer community. It's not that I am bothered by it, and it's not that I am not a queer. I just grew up in an era where that word is not something we just banty around. So, yeah, I mean, yet another example of how they're being very selective and very targeted in their discrimination. Oh, we'll accept all of these, except these right here. And there's no reason to not accept them.
No further.
Yeah, there's no reason to not, and they're just doing it to be mean. Let's just be real. They're just mean. So that.
I mean, a big thing, it seems to be a status quo government. That seems
Yes.
to be the big explainer.
So in Bangladesh, a filthy city, there are anti-lesbian police operations in southern Bangladesh and anti-gay vigilante groups in central Bangladesh. And of course, every human rights organization across the globe is denouncing this. It goes back to on June 11th, an adult woman and 2 adolescent girls were sent to jail in Barguna, southern Bangladesh, following allegations of involvement in a consensual same-sex relationship. They also reported without protest the fact that a 13-year-old schoolgirl was placed in protective custody pursuant to a court order because she was being exposed to lesbian propaganda. What, they bought a cat? They rented a U-Haul? What? You know? Whatever. The detention of adolescent girls raises concerns. You think? It does. The legal age of consent is 18 for women in Bangladesh, only 16 for men. They've got bigger issues in Bangladesh than gay people. But isn't that the case in all the places we report on? Gay is the last thing these places. Bangladesh, the poverty is overwhelming.
Yes.
You know, their economy is in the tanks. Their housing is horrifying. Their cities are infested with vermin. There's clean drinking water shortages. Climate change is destroying part of their cities. And what are they worried about? Lesbians.
It's a scapegoat. It's an easy scapegoat. It's a political token.
Well, and we're a threat to national security if we do it right.
Yeah.
All right. What else is on our nonstop list of?
Every week I have to cut short a substantial number that are present, so I kind of have to do a relevant of the week. But there is an enormous list that I could present each week, and we could have a much longer show, or do a quicker pitter patter, skimming a whole bunch. But there's just an enormous number of stories every week. There's a lot of
because you want me to jump out of the second story window is what you're trying to get me to jump out. It's only 2 floors. I won't really hurt myself. I'll just maybe break a leg.
These stories are dwarfed by the positive stories are dwarfed by the number of negative stories each week. I mean, there are genuine positive stories, but we're definitely in a global period of regression. There's no question about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I want to expand on that just a little with you, because I think globally we're not just gays. Educated, progressive, liberal, open-minded, tolerant people are endangered all across the globe. The right is really rearing their ugly head in every country. Look what's going on in Great Britain with the fight of Nigel Farage, and and he's a fucking asshole. And he took $5 million from some Chinese guy, and now they're saying, hey, you shouldn't have, and you should have reported it. So he resigned just so he can run again. And when he wins, which he will, because in his area, it's Trumpers, basically, and he's basically MAGA. So he will win in his area. He thinks that puts an end to the $5 million or £5 million debacle. It doesn't, but he thinks it will. And, and he's on the very far right. So you've got a lot of very far right leaders winning. You've got a lot of their parties winning. But then again, in other parts of the world, you have very enlightened and very liberal and very left-leaning or socialist people winning as well. So you're right. There is a battle going on right now for the soul of many nations, not just the United States. And right now we're in the period where evil seems to be winning. But we know it's cyclical. And in a year, we could be sitting here talking about how half these things have been repealed because things have swung the other way.
Gandalf will have arrived.
Yeah, swinging both ways. That's the B in LGBT. You just, by the way, just so you know.
Swinging his staff, so to speak.
Could we
Riding on
have a
horse
long
of
talk
glory.
about how I'll never understand bisexuality? I won't. I don't.
I mean,
No,
we can
I
take a
don't.
tangent
And this is the
someday.
truth. I believe there are people who believe they are bisexual. I do. But I also maintain that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, either you want to lay your head on a chest with boobs or you want to lay your head on a chest with hair. Unless you're in Ukraine where the boobs would have hair. But you know what I'm saying. Sorry. Either you want to be with a man or a woman at the end of the day. You are not ambivalent. There's a 51%, so to say. 49% of you might be fine with a man. 51% of you wants a woman, or vice versa. Now, I'm not bi, and that might upset bi people that I'm saying that because I don't understand their experience. I just believe that ultimately, at the end of the day, you have an overriding preference. You're not completely neutral about. You could do it. You could go the other way and have a meaningful relationship, and it would be real and true. But at the end of the day, you're going to end up with somebody else. I only say that because I've dated 2 bi people, and they've ended up with women. They loved me, and we had a great relationship, but ultimately, they ended up with a woman. And I'm not bitter. Or am I? We'll be back to discuss my bitterness. Devin, if you're listening, I'm not naming names. What? Oh, who?
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karelcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karelcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karelcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karelcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
All right, we are back with Scott Jacobsen from the Good Man Project, Rabble, and other outlets in Ukraine, in Kiev, where he told me something really scary, which is that you guys are out of the missiles you need to knock the other missiles out of the sky. And that is alarming. I will say that one of the good things this week that did come out about Donald Trump, and I wish it was that he had 2 months to live, but it was at NATO, at the summit that he's at. Last year when he was there, when he was referencing Ukraine, and he was awake because he fell asleep with the president of Turkey. Of course, who wouldn't? But last year when he referenced Ukraine, he kept talking about Vladimir Putin. and what Putin said, and, Putin. This year, and they have noted this in the press, he talked more of Zelensky and what Zelensky is saying and what Zelensky is doing, although he forgot his name at one point because he's going out of his fucking mind. But he forgot his name, but he was, you're the president of Ukraine, whatever. So it was a nice shift for people that are observing, saying he seems to be more on the side of and sympathetic to Zelensky now than Putin. I don't know if that's going to equate to more military help or more missiles or whatever, but I do know that it is a positive change for him to not be so Putin and be more Zelensky.
That's incidental. He likes, and others in questioning Mr. Trump have indicated this, he likes winners. If you are winning or appear to be winning, he will support you.
True. And he did say that Ukraine has done an excellent job of winning. He used the word winning against Russia. So you're right. He would change sides at a moment's notice if he thought he was going to be on the winning side. Yeah. So, Christian nationalists, which are, by the way, here in America, when you hear the term Christian nationalist, you should equate it to traitor. Because the Constitution specifically prohibits Christian nationalism and has amendments in it to stop Christian nationalism. So when you hear the term Christian nationalist, just think traitor. Christian nationalist claims God doesn't want gay people in the Republican Party. Well, on this we can agree. No gay person should be in the Republican Party. So I agree with the Christian nationalist. What do you think about that? Let's see. Riley Gaines went off against Elliot Page. I don't know if you saw the picture of Elliot Page. He's fucking ripped. He's got like a 12-pack and, is like taking the whole trans thing to the next level. He's like, and people tried to deride him and it sort of backfired in their faces. What else is going on in the gay news in the U.S.? Not that they're going to leave the globe. Photo exhibited celebrating queer veterans. That's kind of nice. Nice news. I love when they say things like Drag Race legend Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Do you have any idea who that person is? And I'm gay. I do not watch Drag Race.
And I'm gay is equivalent to, it was the 80s.
Exactly. And there was a great interview on social media with a gay Trump supporter who in the middle of his interview realized that he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. And he got so embarrassed by the interviewer. And it's a classic thing to go look up. It was, it was really quite something.
It can happen.
So yeah, those are some of the LGBTQ nation headlines here in the United States. Not all of it is bad. Like you said, there is some good, not much. One thing that we haven't covered that I have noticed, and now there is a story at The Advocate about, is that queer art is facing widespread museum censorship, according to curators of museums across the country.
Interesting.
What
is the frame of the type of censorship?
Well, they're talking about it mostly because of financing. Across the country, exhibitors with gay art and themes are being altered, postponed, or outright canceled under Trump. In February, Washington, D.C.'s Art Museum of the Americas canceled Nature's Wild with Andil Gozine because it actually showed LGBTQ, gay sheep, which we have reported on. It showed animals that are gay.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So yeah, the Washington, D.C. Art Museum of the Americas canceled Nature's Wild with Andil Gozine. The works were inspired by Gozine's 2021 book, Nature's Wild, Love, Sex, and Law in the Caribbean. which reflected
That's
on
right.
art, activism, and homosexuality in that region. The same month, Arizona's Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art made 11th hour edits to a traveling exhibition of women, queer, and trans artists, which had previously been called Trans Feminism, altering the title of it to a condensed show called There Are Other Skies. In April, the Smithsonian National Museum of African In April, the Smithsonian National Museum of African Art postponed a group exhibition of works by gay African artists entitled Here Pride and Belonging in African Art, which has been scheduled for a late May opening to coincide with World Pride. The D.C. Museum cited budgetary reasons for postponing the show, but the timing was hard to miss on the heels of the Trump administration directives to the Smithsonian to remove improper, divisive, or anti-American ideology from its museums, as well as the forced and preemptive relocation of other World Pride cultural events after the Trump administration's firing at the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. So there's a lot of art censorship going on across the United States. There was a show called Transforming Liberty, Trans, and then Forming, which features a black trans woman posing as the Statue of Liberty. That got pulled. After the cancellation, a spokesperson for the Smithsonian, which oversees the gallery, disputed the claims and said the institution wanted more time to better contextualize the paintings. Yeah. In June, across town, the first homosexuals, the Art Institute of Chicago, opened a traveling exhibit of 19th century French artist Gustave Caillebots, Caillebotts, Caillebots, male-focused and arguably homoerotic work, changing the show's name from Gustave Caillebots Painting Men to Gustave Caillebots Painting His World. Katz's association curator for the first homosexuals, Johnny Willis, added, "We're not asking them to say that Gustav was gay. We're asking them to leave open the possibility and the foreground of blurriness of these questions in the late 19th century." The Art Museum of Americas and Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art did not respond to NBC for request on commenting of their cancelizations of the art exhibits of the LGBTQ community. A lot of the museums are privately funded, according to one of the experts, so they say they worry about the rich funding such exhibits. One museum director said to one of the canceled artists, "Yours is precisely the exhibition I'd like to show, and therefore it's the one that I cannot." Isn't that a powerful statement from an... I want to make a joke because art is gay. I mean, going to a museum is about as gay as it can be. And it's good for you mentally. It staves off Alzheimer's. But a lot of artists were and are gay. So to try to say, I mean, are you going to take down Caravaggio's? He had many male affairs. Are you going to destroy the Sistine Chapel because he might have been taking it up the rump while he painted the ceiling? I mean, there are so many very famous artists. Frida Kahlo. Are you going to take down every Frida Kahlo who famously had affairs with women? So there's so many artists that were bi or gay or trans or whatever. I just don't see how they're going to sanitize it, but they appear to be trying. But again, I rest on art is gay. So there we go. What else? What didn't we get to from you? We didn't get to everything, I don't think. There's more bad news. Don't worry, there's more bad news.
And not even necessarily always bad. Sometimes it's just controversial, and it's just sort of someone's hot take, I guess, something like that as an op-ed. But it hasn't changed, therefore it's not necessarily bad news, just more of that same news.
The owners of the Stonewall Inn has said that J.K. Rowling has damaged gay people across the world. I never liked Camilla Parker Bowles. She had an affair with a married man, willingly and knowingly. She hurt Princess Diana intentionally. And as far as I'm concerned, she would never be queen. And the queen didn't want her to be queen. She had a different name for her. But after the queen died, they sort of just started calling her queen. When she posed the day of London Gay Pride, Camilla Parker Bowles took a photo with J.K. Rowling. So on the day that London is celebrating Pride, you're going to take a photo with the world's biggest transphobe. TERF, I believe, is the trans exclusionary radical feminist. It does hurt. And I think it does hurt an LGBTQ movement when someone that writes books that are so inclusive and so multicultural and the last person you would expect. Now, she, surprisingly, J.K. Rowling, has not said anything about gay people in general, lesbians, gay men, bisexuals. Her beef is only with trans and only with male to female trans people. She has never commented about female to male trans people. She only comments about male to female trans people. And she says, you know, you don't bleed, you don't have babies, you're not a real woman, you've just had a cosmetic surgery, you know, all this other ridiculous bullshit. My whole thing about it is, when did we start to listen to the author of Hufflepuff, you know, a woman who created fantasies for children? When did we start turning to her for moral guidance on trans issues? You know what I'm saying? It's like she writes children's books, and good for her. And she did write some adult books, which did okay, but not so well, under an assumed name. She didn't write them under her own name. But, you know, I could give two farts what she cares about trans people. And the only reason that I care is because it hurts them. When she makes these statements and millions of people read them, you know, it hurts the trans community. But I think most in the trans community could give a fuck what she says. You know, who is she? She's a billionaire who made money off of selling children's novels. She's not a great thinker. She's not a great scientist, a great theologian. She's a children's book author. So as far as I'm concerned, her opinion on the matter and a quarter will get you, well, not much anymore for a quarter. You know. We used to say get you a phone call, but there's no more pay. Well, there's no more pay phones. It used to get you a phone call, but there's no pay phones.
I mean, if you can buy a paperclip and some gum in your MacGyver, you can go pretty far, but most of us aren't. So
yeah, so. But I mean, it is sad. But the owners of the Stonewall Inn have come out and said that they feel that, you know, she is hurting people across the globe. I think they're giving her a little too much credit, but who knows? And that's the thing. A lot of these stories that we talk about, these people are so self-important. They act like I said, like this guy signing a document suddenly erases all the gay people in his country. No, it's done nothing, you asshole. You know, so you got in your silk robe and you signed a piece of paper with a pen. Big fucking deal. Gay people are still going to be there. They're still going to live. They'll avoid your police. But we're not going anywhere. And especially to Turkey. But, you know, so these people are so self-important. How self-important is J.K. Rowling's that she thinks her opinion on trans people actually matters? I mean, how self-important is she? She's not a legislature. She doesn't make laws. She doesn't, you know, she might donate to campaigns that make laws and thus can change outcomes. But she herself has never run for a public office. She's not held in high public esteem. Most 30-year-olds or under have no fucking clue who she is. Unless they watch the new series on HBO, but, you know. So I haven't watched it because, you know, there's one Harry Potter, and that's Daniel Radcliffe. That's it. There's no need to redo it. It's perfect the way it was, even though she did write it. I read all her books. I don't have them anymore. I got rid of them. But I read them all. You know, they were good books. She's a good author. Her opinions on trans people suck balls. Trans balls. Fake silicone balls.
I mean, the
I'm assuming
fundamental
that's
issue is always, you know, being homosexual, being heterosexual, these are part and parcel of being a human species. This, as I was noting in the last week session, that is part of the human species. It is ancestral. And so the question isn't what one famous person has in terms of an opinion about it or not. The question is, what does it fundamentally say about the diversity of human expression of sexual orientation and desire?
I think the hardest thing for a human to do is to say my opinion doesn't matter. That, when asked a question. When I was on CNN and they asked my opinion on abortion. It was in the news and they wanted me to talk about abortion. And I said, my opinion on abortion doesn't matter. And they said, what do you mean? Of course it matters. I said, no, it doesn't. I'm a man. I don't have ovaries. I can't get pregnant. I'm never going to impregnate a woman. My opinion on abortion does not matter. It has no relevance in any conversation. I'm not involved. I'm not a woman. I don't have ovaries. My opinion on it doesn't matter. They were shocked on CNN that I would say such a thing.
If I may. And when there's a derivative from that, which is actually quite nuanced and quite subtle, it's not that you don't have an opinion. It's that relevant to the legislation and policy and so on in healthcare, it doesn't matter. And similar for mine. And my general position on a lot of these things is to defer to the people that have the relevant training and expertise, and it's their full-time job.
It's why I'm here and you're here. You are a straight man talking about gay issues. So you bring in someone who has the lived experience of a gay man to actually help you find depth to these stories. Because you haven't lived my life. Although you could. I mean, my viewers think we'd make a cute couple. Well, they just said you were cute. I'm assuming they mean we'd make a cute couple. But they were, that Scott is cute. I'm all, hands off, girly, hands off.
So for 27 months, I worked 7 days a week at an equestrian farm, an equestrian facility of about 60 to 65 horses, depending on how full we were that season. I did ranch hand labor, landscaping, gardening, so on and so forth. Pretty much the only full-time male staff were there. Most of the clients are women. Most of the staff are women, part-time and full-time. I remember near the ending of my time and duration there before then transitioning to the work in traveling to Europe, particularly in Ukraine and the war. I remember talking to the stable manager. We talked about things. She's a very, very nice lady, very hardworking. And we started talking, and basically, apparently, every staff member and every client had gone to her, because she's an intermediary with regards to the full barn manager and so on. It's a very famous family actually that runs that one by accident. I ended up working for them. And it basically came to the point of saying, so everyone, literally everyone has asked, so Scott, is he gay? Everyone has asked. I had no idea. Everyone had asked based on how I am, I guess.
And no one asked
in a
you.
Farm environment.
And no one asked you.
No, these are. It's.
You can tell I didn't work there because I'd have walked right up to you and said, "So, men, women, or horses? What's your pleasure?" That's
right. Well, there's things that can be discussed only in certain contexts. Although some barns can be run in a weird way where they separate workers and clientele, particularly if they're wealthier, quite distinctly. And this one, they did quite a mix where regular workers and clientele and trainers had consistent and common interaction. So there was more of a lateral set of relationships between. And
they all wanted you.
That's actually
They were asking because they wanted to ask you out, dude. That's the reason. This morning at the park, cute man on wheelie, CMOW as I call him. He's a cute guy on a wheelie, and he has 2 Dobermans. And he knows I call him that. I say hello to him every day. So today I'm all, is there a Mrs. Cute Man on Wheelie? Is there a girlfriend Cute Man on Wheelie or boyfriend? Because I am of the generation where you couldn't really ask, if that makes any sense. You just didn't ask. And now I think to myself, that those days are gone. You know, you want to know about someone? Ask. You know, don't just play coy. But I still think people are taken aback if you just walk up to them and say, "Are you gay?" You know.
Also,
I flirted
horse
this morning at
barns,
the park. Yes,
to be
I
honest with
did.
you,
Pardon?
2 things about horse barns. One, one of the clients I first asked, so is there such a thing as barn drama? She paused. She looked at me slyly and said, yes. Okay. And that set the tone for the next 2 years and 3 months of work there. Another thing is gossip, and horse girl gossip is an enormous part of horse life, equestrian life. And so asking indirectly is part of the gossip culture there. Also, you don't want to...
Any man that
Asking
rides
very
dressage is gay. Come on. Hello. That's just me. Come on. You're on a prancing fucking horse. Come on.
Someone joked with me. I have a jacket from the Major League show jumping world, which is like 5-star, which is 4-star is Olympic, 5-star is I did something really nice for a woman, and then an Olympic trainer gave me this jacket, very nice. And they have some desert park in California, and I remember I was talking to the person who gave me the jacket, and he just said at some point, "Oh, at least half of the trainers were gay."
Yeah. Hello. It's like fashion. These straight guys that go into the fashion world and get all upset when a photographer hits on them. Dude, you're a fucking model. You know, you're in the fashion world. Half of you are gay, and the other half will sleep with anybody to get a job. So, you know, just ask. Here in the United States, 21 hospitals have... Here in the United States, 21 hospitals have ended or restricted trans care for minors since January. This will be one of the ones we close with, because this illustrates that every week when we talk about this stuff, it's not just policy. It's people's lives. Those 21 hospitals provided a valuable service for the trans community, kids, young adults, teens. And now for 21 hospitals, that's like saying 21 hospitals no longer treat heart attacks. You know, it's like, well, you're a hospital. You're supposed to provide care. And they're deciding which care is okay and which care is not based on the administration in Washington. That is a dangerous, dangerous policy for any hospital to have about anything. You know, that's like a hospital saying we're not going to do the COVID vaccine because we think ivermectin works better or whatever. You know, it's a dangerous, dangerous thing. And that's why...
Like most dangerous.
Yes, and that's why policy matters and why the tone of the country matters. It's been okay, and I mean, we can close with this, because it is now okay to bash gay people in a way that it was not okay to do prior to Donald Trump. You know, just period. I mean, under Reagan, it was bad and all of that, but it did get better in the United States and the world. You know, Ireland, I bring up Ireland, what is it now, 12 years ago maybe even longer? They passed same-sex marriage with an 86% approval rate in a Catholic country, a country that identifies as 85% Catholic. And why? How did they get it passed? By treating it as a national pride issue, by saying these are our people. They are our children, our uncles, our aunts. These are Irish people. These are Irish people, and they deserve the same rights as every other Irish person. And they played to the national pride of the country, and that overrode religion. You know, it did. People that you would have never thought would have voted for same-sex marriage in Ireland did. And the beauty of a country like Ireland, it's fucking law, move on. They don't go back and revisit it. Like abortion. Abortion's legal there. A Catholic country. It is legal there. I don't know. I believe that they have adopted the EU's vision of trans. So I believe that in Ireland that trans rights are also pretty okay. I did see some iffy stuff there after Trump came in. I don't think people realize how long it's going to take to undo the damage of Donald Trump internationally, you know, to to make it so, again, that's why I have this movement now to just laugh at MAGA, just pity them, feel sorry for them. They're cult members, they're brainwashed, they worship a felon who today got told to pay the $5 million to E. Jean Carroll that he owes for practically raping her. So I feel sorry for them. And soon we will start laughing at them and making them the pariahs they once were. And when that happens, anti-gay sentiment will swing back again to pro-gay sentiment. Because young people, your age, you're young people by far and away, no matter what the media tries to tell you, approval for gays and lesbians amongst Gen Z, Gen Y, and millennials, off the chart. It's overwhelming, like 60, 70%, 80% all think that gay people are fine and should have rights and all of that. So when the old farts start to just truly die, we'll start to see a generational shift. It's going to take 10, 15 years, but it's going to happen.
I should have a quick footnote, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
There's two false narratives in American media. One is a Christian revival among young men, not happening
No.
by any statistical.
I said that. How funny. I said that yesterday. I said Turning Point
okay, so there you
USA
go.
would like you to believe that there's this whole generation of young men turning into this radicalized Christian. It's not happening. That's not happening.
No, I would look into the research of people like Ryan Burge or other professionals who spend all their time looking at this stuff. That's point one. Point two is similar in tone around the idea of a conservative resurgence as well. Also not true. We have seen that younger men in, say, 18 to 25 or 18 to 24 are less liberal a bit than prior generations, but overwhelmingly the trend is progressive orientation. And women...
I would go further. I would say they're not less liberal, actually. I'd say they're more socialist. The young people are loving democratic socialist in this country. Mandami is a hero. They're loving Mandami. And in Colorado, a democratic socialist just won. All right, Scott Jacobsen, live in the Ukraine this gay week. Tune in every week for it. Talk about self-important. Broward Republican congressional candidate. You cannot be born gay because he knows everything. Oh, thank you so much. Stay safe, please. Please, just hide. No heroics.
Right. So, in more serious tone, it's
broadcasting from a completely different.
No, we're going to go back. Forget here. Let me take this off. I want to hear what you have to say. So hold on. There we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember. Well, the word around the fact that you wake up and 30 people have been killed from bombardments. July 2nd was like that. There was 31 killed and obviously several more injured. And then now hearing we don't have defensive missiles. We have defense for drones. That's a different story. But the ballistic missiles cause real damage.
Right, but if I'm not mistaken, aren't like 70% of the attacks drone attacks?
I mean,
how often is Russia lobbing the ballistic missiles? They're expensive and Russia's running out of money.
Yes and no. I mean, there are overly optimistic interpretations of the context by some Western media. I don't want to make the mistake that it's a block, obviously. But in general, things are more in the Ukrainian favor right now, particularly with what they call informal sanctions by bombing oil refineries and such. Again, that's a whole other conversation. But if you take the May 24 bombings, if I remember off the top of mind, please fact check me if anyone's getting this far into the session today. About 90 ballistic missiles and 600 drones. So that's probably about correct in terms of the 70% number, just ballparking. But it varies attack to attack. And the big attacks were ones like May 24, June 2nd, speaking of the mornings, June 15, July 2nd, July 6th, and likely in the next 72 hours as well. This time, though, there are no defensive missiles. I mean, the other day.
Well, and Trump just gave Ukraine permission and license to produce the Patriot defense missile system, but isn't that sort of a long term? I mean, it's not like you guys, like you're Ukrainian now. It's not like Ukraine could, they couldn't create that like in a week. You know, it's going to take months to get that up and running, or even a year.
Well, my first preface, I am not a military armament expert. My first indication is yes. In terms of specifics, I don't know.
I'm looking at specifics
but
right
I just want to
now.
be very clear when my being here, a couple things that are foundational. One, I am here on the basis of human rights. I'm here on the basis of independent reportage. The moral frame here is more clear than a lot of other wars, where there are far more crimes committed against Ukrainians than vice versa, although there have been crimes committed by Ukrainians. That's part one. Part two, the basis is I am here as a foreigner, and I'm very mindful of the fact that the future of Ukrainian society should be determined by Ukrainians. That is very important to them, and it should be acknowledged because they're being imposed militarily and propaganda-wise by the Russians, and being given help with strings by
Well,
others.
what Trump said on Wednesday at NATO was, he was asked directly, would the U.S. send additional Patriot interceptor missiles until Ukraine can build the system? And he said the word some could be sent immediately. But he says the U.S. needs more for itself too, and that the Ukraine could begin to produce its own, quote, quickly, unquote, according to Trump. What that means in the article, it doesn't really say how fast quickly is. So he said we could. So it sounds like he's willing to entertain some in the bridge as a bridge, but we're out of them too. We've used a lot of ours in Iran, and we're running out of. The report came out yesterday. We're running out of Patriot missiles, and they're something like $1.3 million each to build. So.
So on the pricing and the weapons itself, that's fine to use that universally across both cases. Both cases in a war context are not the same. The Israeli-American war with Iran, America has.
Oh, by the way, I'm wrong. It's $4 million per Patriot missile to produce and procure.
Amazingly expensive.
$4 million.
So
each.
that's amazingly expensive, and probably goes up in price when it gets shipped and sold externally. Although these ones are going to be produced domestically, so that's a different story. But America has two big anti-missile, ballistic missile defense systems.
Yes.
Two oceans on either side of it.
Yes.
Ukraine does not.
Right. Many a U.S. president has said that we have been protected from a lot of what the rest of the world experiences because of the safety of our oceans. You know, that Europe
And
has
it
had
doesn't
to
mess up
deal
your
with.
allies.
Right. And, you know, Europe has had to deal with a lot of different invaders that we haven't, because we have big bodies of water between us and China, us and
Including
Russia.
other Europeans.
Yeah, you know, so as you all melt over there. $690 million to stock a battery with missiles upon purchase. It's $400 million for the physical radar, launchers, and command components for one single battery of Patriot missiles. And then it's $690 million to stock that battery. So you're looking at $1.1 billion for a fully stocked battery of Patriot missiles. And because of the highly complex supply chain involving hundreds of vendors, each missile takes over 2 years to build. So that answers our question. There's no way Ukraine could start building their own and you wouldn't have them for 2 years.
I mean, it would probably need to be something along the lines of the long-term plan of peace when your contiguous border is enormous with a long-time, multi-generational, aggressive
Right.
state.
It's not going to help the war right
there.
now, but it could help future wars from breaking out.
Yes.
Because they would have these Patriot missiles. All right. Well, Scott, you stay safe. Every time I fucking wake up and it's 18 people dead in Kyiv. Oops, he's gone. Oh, well. It is the truth, though. Every time I wake up and I see like 10 or 12 people dead in Kyiv, I worry. And just now, he just disconnected very abruptly. Did he get hit by a missile? It's really weird when you have a friend in a war zone. All right. I am Karel. Be who you want to be, so I don't hurt anybody. Thank you for joining us on this gay week, plus our Ukraine update with someone that is in Ukraine. I will see you. Today is Thursday. I will see you back on Monday, unless I am in Tucson with my niece. Her kidney function was at 19% on Wednesday. Today, I don't know what it's at yet, but that's not good, so I may have to get out there. All right, be safe. I love you, and until next week, until Monday, I try to enjoy life. Oh, is he back? So I hope he's back. He didn't get hit by a missile? Oh, no, it popped in like he was back. Obviously, he's not hit by a missile because it popped in Scott. I can try to, let me see, because I'd like for him to say goodbye. Did you pop back in? We can't hear you or see you if you're there. Oh, no, he popped back out again. I think he's trying to reconnect. I'm kind of curious what's going on. Are you okay? We thought a missile might have come and bombed you before you said goodbye. Okay. That's acceptable. It can die. You can't. just remember that.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Correct.